Okay, so I think then we can start. Okay, so I will just I see that people are coming in, but I think we can start. Hello to everyone. My name is Natasha Perucica, and I'm the lead of the moderation track. I would like to welcome you to the first session on talents and skills for effective event moderation, recruitment, and training. Before I hand over the floor to Ms. Priyanti Daluwatte, who will be moderating this session, I would just like to brief you about some of the in-house rules. I would like to encourage you to raise your hand if you wish to take the floor, or in case you prefer, you can also use the tech chat and we can communicate your question. You can also, if you prefer, you can put your cameras on so that we can see you. And I will give the floor now to who will moderate the discussion.
Welcome to the session on moderation, talents and skills for effective event moderation, recruitment and training. I'm Priyanti Daluwatte and I'll be moderating the session, and I'm from Sri Lanka. As you would already have heard from the preliminary session, with the outbreak of the pandemic, more and more people are using online meetings, and it's massively increased among organizations. A key feature in the success of online meetings is effective moderation. In an online meeting, as opposed to face-to-face meeting, participants may easily get distracted. Messages in the computer or the phone or technical glitches may distract them. And it is very important to keep the participants engaged. And it becomes very important because there is no physical interaction between the participants. Especially the remote participants may get distracted, and coordination and moderation becomes very important. And also the participants may have they would have got exhausted due to so many online meetings. Therefore, the speakers and the moderators have to be well prepared for the online sessions. So we will start the session by a short survey on Zoom.
Yeah. Can I call you back? Can I call you back?
We will have the session, the Zoom survey on the question of whether moderators are born or bred. Launch the Zoom and you launch, and then you say, he said, oh, you are in another line, you want to get here? I said, we say yes, and you get over there. We would like you to put your cameras on, please. It's nice. Great. So we have 32 participants. Yes, the survey indicates that 8% of the people have said that the effective moderators are born, and majority, 92% of the participants have rated that they can be bred. So let's start the discussion. This is mainly an interactive session, and all of you can engage yourselves. And you have 1 minute to air your views. Please introduce yourself, and you can start pooling ideas on the key features of an online moderator. If you can raise your hand. Tanya, yes, please.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm director of the Bulgarian Diplomatic Institute, and I'm really like to know more and to share experience with all of the participants here, because this is a really new situation for all of us. In the opening session, it was told that it's really was very high speed in adaptation to that, but I would say that we are not completely ready. So I really would like to exchange and to meet colleagues from everywhere concerning the diplomatic training. That's my hello.
Hello. We can start the session by looking at the slides, Natasha, the first slide, if you don't mind.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
There is also Gustavo Paiva who raised his hand.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Gustavo, yes. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, go ahead, please.
I think that a good online moderator, answering your question, I think he or she would ideally, be quick on his feet, be able to make snap decisions when necessary, and ideally, he or she should be knowledgeable enough about the topic at hand, so that let's say the organizer of the session can trust his judgment also on the topic. So I think ideally the moderator should also be integrated into the organization of the process of the event.
Yes, thank you. Any other ideas? Anything you can add from the participants? We have 38 participants in the session. We have got the slide. So it says present, observation, inclusiveness. One has to be patient, empathy, objectives, flexibility. One has to listen carefully to all the speakers, respectfulness. Anything more to add? You can jump in. There is no
I would add something.
order or anything.
In my experience moderating a few sessions, I'd say multitasking is good. It's important.
Yes, yes,
you will most likely have to multitask often during online moderation.
Mm-hmm. There's a question from the chat. Isn't the
I can come in if you want.
Yes, please. Please.
Yeah, I just posted a question. I mean, in general, I think that the basics are not very different from face to face. You just have to deal with another medium. It's not so direct as if you're with people in a room and you sense a bit better what's happening and so on. But I think the qualities probably need to be the same.
Yes. Are there any features that you think that a moderator should not possess, especially during online moderations?
We also have Helena Grunberg who raised her hand.
Yes, please.
Yeah, hi everyone. I actually just wanted to sort of reiterate what was already said by both Thomas and Gustavo. I think the issue around being quick on your feet and being knowledgeable about the subject is even more important online than in an in-person panel discussion. Sometimes I think in-person panels, you know, moderators can get away with more because they're in the room. But I think not being knowledgeable or reading off a piece of paper that you're seeing for the first time and doing it online when you're very much like in other people's face is very, very obvious and comes across quite starkly. So just really reiterated what was said, but just emphasizing that it might be even more important when you are online. Thank you.
We have about 4 minutes more into the session.
Perhaps you have
one.
If I just may, perhaps you have some points on the qualities that you mentioned that moderators should be quick on their feet, that they should, I'm reading here, that they should be knowledgeable about the subject. But what are the other things what are the qualities that an online moderator should not possess? I read here in the chat from Ted Bartles that there is due to the use of digital technologies, there is the loss of eye contact and physical communication that changes the dynamic. Perhaps you would like to elaborate a bit more on this in an online setting, how things have changed?
Yeah, I can. This is Ted Bartles. I'm sorry, I don't have my camera today. It's a little, it's a difficult day for a camera here.
No worries.
You know, I know as a moderator and watching moderators, especially in a smaller situation where maybe you only have 50 or 60 people, moderators can often, you know, watch the audience, they can see the audience, and they can look ahead to who may want to speak next. It gives them an opportunity to kind of judge the room. Whereas now, you know, just as I'm speaking right now, and it's very difficult for me to tell if people are engaged. Am I saying anything interesting? Am I moving in the direction that the group should go? So that to me is one of the biggest challenges of losing that physical sense of what's happening in the room around me, and am I keeping people on track and keeping them happy? And, you know, is this a productive meeting, or are we all just reading our emails and who knows what everybody else is doing?
That was a very interesting point. Actually, it's something that often comes up in the digital context. There are a number of studies that highlight that, well, body language, I think, makes up around 90% of communication, and that basically this obviously is something that lacks in an online setting. Gustavo Paiva has raised his hand again.
I think it is quite common in policy debates that people have a set of interests, a set of priorities. We could call it an agenda. And I think that is particularly harmful when it comes to the online moderator. When it's a non-site moderator, you don't know what everyone is going to say. You just go to the mic and you speak. An online moderator, he's filtering the questions that are being sent to him. And if he or she has an agenda, if he or she is not impartial, and that's quite easy to happen, then I think the whole process of sending questions can be harmed down to a fundamental level.
Thank you all for all your ideas shared. We've almost come to the end of the session. And thank you so much for sharing your observations. Natasha, would you like to add anything from the chat participants?
I think we were a lot more active this time in the discussion than in the chat. But I would like to say that the second session on titled Over Prepare and Be Ready for Surprises, Roles and Scenarios in Online Meetings will be starting in 1 minute. So if you want to stay with us, please do. If you, on the other hand, wish to visit the other sessions on technology, on diplomacy and behavior, you're more than welcome to roam around our virtual conference hall today.
Thank you all for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that Sally is here with us. She will be moderating the next session.
Everyone.
So perhaps we can wait a bit more for other speakers to join and we can kick the discussion off.
Just checking. Can you hear me okay, Natasha?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you.
I think that we can start perhaps.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. I will be your moderator, as Natasha said. A brief of introduction, my name is Sally Muzammil. I'm originally from Indonesia, but today I'm connecting from Cairo, Egypt, where I'm currently located and based at the moment. I'm also a student at Diplo. I'm a proud student at Diplo. We're actually just graduating our online course for online meetings for diplomacy and global governance, a very timely program. And so happy to be your moderator today, and hopefully you will find it useful. Let me probably just go straight to the topic of the session. We will be talking about being over prepared and be ready for surprises. Before we start, though, I would really like to hear from you all, and please don't be shy. What surprise have you encountered, either negative or positive, in your recent meetings? You can drop a line on the chat, and we can have a look at the responses. I'll give it 30 seconds for this, and then we'll move on. It can be anything. It can be related to the structure, to the way the moderator is conducting it, or to anything really. Technical difficulties from Kim. Any other experience? Funny, horrific, surprising, unpredictable agenda? Good point. From noise from the background, like now. Okay. May I kindly ask colleagues to put on yourself on mute? I will also do that intermittently in case my background noise. I have a bird, so the background noise will be quite constant. Participant talking too long. Okay. I think we already have quite a number of key points here, so I'm happy to hear that. So technical difficulties, agenda, noise, participants taking too long, or moderator taking too long, right? I mean, it's and maybe one thing that I would add would be a structure of the meeting that could, at least to me personally, has been can be a turn off if we don't see that the meeting is actually as structured as we said. Well-intentioned people who join a meeting without being prepared for it and without an understanding of proper etiquette. Gustavo, yes, that's another key element. Then that brings me to my second question. Why do you think preparation is important for online meetings? It is an obvious question, but I would like to hear from you why preparation is important. One word, if you can. Okay. Flow. Quick response. Thank you. To be able to be improvised. Absolutely. Precision in message delivery. Excellent point. Yes. Well, for the simplest reason, preparation is important. I mean, to me, it's you already spend time. You have colleagues attending a meeting. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry, because I see that I'm muted. It's you actually respecting the audience, right? So being prepared, knowing how the meeting is going to be conducted is of utmost importance. Confidence for the moderator to be confident as well in undertaking the meeting is also why it makes it even more important to be prepared. And to have a structure, I mean, Kim mentioned the flow. To have a structure in the meeting is extremely important, again, to also respect the audience. One thing maybe that that makes, being prepared, one thing is, another thing is to be exactly what Kathleen, to be able to improvise. So you can have your most beautiful run of show, you can have your most beautiful scenario, but equally important is to prepare a plan B. And the plan B it can be we will talk about it in a bit. Before moving forward, if Natasha, if you can pull up the poll on whether it's better to be over prepared or quick to adapt so we can hear from colleagues. There's a nice race there. Quick to adapt is gaining, is winning the ball. Over prepared. Okay. Excellent. Great. Okay, thank you so much. I think there is quite a good consensus of being able to quickly to adapt or over prepare. I think if I may, I would say a few words. I mean, this is really depending on the personality of whoever is leading the session. So one can function better by being prepared, and other people who are more improviser are able to be quickly to adapt. But this exactly brings me to the keywords for successful online meetings. There are 3 P's here: planning, preparations, and patience. So patience is also an important element, because we know no matter how well prepared we are, things can go wrong at any point of time. And I think one of the first comments here was technical difficulties being pointed out by Kim here. So maybe Natasha, if you can show quickly the slide that we have on what could possibly go wrong on online meetings, so we can have a look at it together. Thank you. So here our colleague Natasha has kindly enough to put this together at one shot. So download required to join online meeting might be as simple, but it can be it can be disruptive for the participant. Lack of information on how to access the meeting platform can also lead to ineffective meeting. Low bandwidth, poor audio and video. We have to, especially now in the global world, we know that this is becoming a big issue. Not everyone would have the most advanced internet connection, so we have to have that in mind as well, and prepare an alternative way for colleagues with low bandwidth to connect. Complicated screen sharing, streaming lags, lack of interactivity between participants, etc. So these are the things that we should know as we are now in sort of the new normal, so to speak. For any online meetings, we have to be prepared that technically this could be something that may go wrong at any point of time. So we covered technology. One thing that we also have to bear in mind on why we need to be prepared is because the tolerance is absolutely questionable here. That I think the threshold of tolerance for failures is very, very low. Everybody would expect that online meetings will need to be done as effective as possible. So we have to bear that in mind. And we need to be also patient with that. So both being prepared give you the confidence, and the ability to actually able to improvise also gives you a satisfactory plan B. We will, of course, we have very limited time today, but I would like to briefly stop here to hear if any of you would like to share any remarks on the issues that we covered thus far, before I mention a few things that I would like to share with you as a closure. So if any of you would like to share any feedback on what we've covered. I see here spontaneous behavior is also rather important, especially when things going on. Absolutely, yes, indeed. Should be professional. Because it's on screen, people think it should be professional. This is difficult for NGOs. Jane, this is an excellent point. I think when we have, I mean, Ginger, I don't know if you were on the main hall, but Ginger did, our colleague from Diplo shared about the guidance and principles that are being put together, and that include inclusivity. So this is a very important point. I see someone went on unmute. Would you like to come in? And if you want to say a word, please introduce yourself, your affiliation, and you have 1 minute to share your thoughts.
Hello, everyone. This is Natasha, the track lead. In case you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or to post them in the chat, and we can read them out if that is more convenient for you. Maybe you have some reflections to share on what has been said by Sally, on the slide that we showed, on the comments made in the chat by the other attendees.
Okay, Natasha, I think given in the interest of time, I will just say another few things that I want to share in the forum. Part of the we talk about preparation, right? And
maybe
and
you have some reflections to share on what has been said by Sally, on the
preparation
slide
actually,
that we
or the
showed,
effective
on
moderation
the
itself
comments made
actually
in the
start
chat
before the
by
meeting.
the other
So,
attendees.
From the technicality, from ideally you need to define.
Natasha, I think
given in the interest of depending on the size that you are, but say in an ideal situation, I want to share in the forum. You need to have a moderator. Part of the you would like to be as advanced as
maybe you have some reflections to share on what has been said by Sally, on the slide that we showed, on the comments made in the chat by
the chat moderator, like how Natasha is an absolute from the technicality from the session. Ideally, you need to define.
Natasha, I think
given in the interest of depending on the size that you are, but say in an ideal situation, I want to share in the forum. And then part of
rapporteur
is
also
a key, you element there, right?
And maybe you have some reflections to share on
I'm just
what
going to
has
read
been
quickly
said
on the
by
chat.
Sally,
Design team
preparation
slide
that
that
we
we
showed,
effective
on
moderation
the
itself.
comments made in the chat by
The chat moderator, like how Natasha is an absolute
from the technicality
from
during the
session. Ideally, you need to define.
Natasha, I think
given in the interest of depending on the size that you are, but say another in an ideal situation, I want to share here. It's part of it has been covered in the previous session, but one thing that a key takeaway from the online course that I took is the 10 essential characteristics for online moderator. I will go very, very quickly, and we can follow up. We can have a discussion follow up in another opportunity. But knowledge, many people talk about knowledge. It's important to be knowledgeable, but avoid pedantry that can intimidate participants. That is key. And use simple language. Avoid jargon to the maximum possible. Coming from the UN family, jargon is very common. So having a knowledge but avoid use of jargon is key. Second is decisiveness. It's very, very important to be quick and decisive, but absolutely not hasty or impulsive. 3, imagination. My favorite part of imagination is using analogies and metaphors when you have online meetings, so you connect better with the participants. I find it one of the key elements as well. Self-assurance, you have to be confident because that also translates into reassuring or give certain level of assurance to the participants. 5, few last 6 points would be attention to details, master of timing, be aware of time. We are almost ending our session now. Ability to multitask is a very important also quality. Calmness, remain calm. Flexible and adaptability, we covered a lot now on that. And then fluent and engaging. And with that, I thank you very much for your active participation, and over to you, Natasha.
Thank you, Sally. I think this was a very, very rich discussion from a content perspective. You shared many useful insights, and our attendees also shared very valid points. Now I would like you to join us in the art exhibition that has been created by the Post Creative Lab. It basically summarizes our digital art that has been done over the last 2 months, or to join my colleagues for a quick coffee break, and then to either get back to this discussion on within the moderation track, or to roam around the other rooms on technology, diplomacy, security, and behavior. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. You have a lot of books. That's great to see.
Still more to read.
Yes, yes, of course. So I see you're staying with us for the next session.
Microsoft is still not so good at the integration side as they are. They lots of resources into lots of resources into the enhanced enrollment integration.
I can see that more people are joining us. There is a coffee break at the moment in a different room, and there is also an art exhibition. So if you wish to explore those two options, please feel free. Our next session on time management will be starting in roughly 9 minutes. But if you're open to a discussion, we can also use this room for a coffee break in the meantime. I can see that Jovan Urbaliat, Executive Director of DiploFoundation, is here with us.
Hi, yes, I just visited this room. There are exciting activities in Coffee Lounge, but like at any conference, you know how it works. Sometimes you sit in the breakout room and have a chat, as Natasha said. Feel free to move around via Meetings Diplomacy Edu /live. Go for the network dating or networking dating or coffee lounge discussion. There is even smokers corner. That for those of you, don't encourage smoking, but you may go there and have a quick exchange with people who are in the same social club joined by the smoking habit. Thank you.
Thank you, Jovan. Do you have, I don't know, I can see that some of you in the room were with us from the very start, but some of you joined us recently. Do you have any comments on the previous two topics that were discussed so far on whether moderators are born or bred, or why it is important to, well, why being over-prepared sometimes can be a problem? I can see that Kim is here, the moderator for the next session. We still have around 5 minutes to go. Kim, do you hear us?
I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we hear you. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay,
We'll be
great.
starting shortly.
I don't want to run away to the art exhibition before I lose my connection. So.
Well, you'll have, I guess, after
I'm
your
staying,
session.
I know, I'm staying put.
Our colleagues from the Creative Lab worked really hard on the visual materials. It's a collection of visualizations that we used for the projects that we conducted over the last 2 months, and it's a very rich rich exhibition with GIFs, videos, banners, a lot of video material.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah. It is nice to see that people are getting back into the room. Okay, so we have 1 minute left. Perhaps we can start the discussion soon. Okay. We can't hear you.
Hi, Natasha, you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you. Maybe I can just now go with the introduction of what the in-house rules are, and then you can kick it off. Is that good with you?
Okay, great. That's great. Thank you.
Perfect. So we're starting right on time. So hello to everyone. My name is Natasha Perutica, and I'm the lead of the moderation track. I would like to welcome you to the third session of the moderation track. The session is titled "Are We on Time? Time Management Tips for Online Moderation." Before I hand over the floor to Kim Ibrahim, who will moderate this discussion, I would just like to make a few comments about the in-house rules. So we would like to encourage you to raise your hand if you wish to take the floor, or in case you prefer, you can also use the text chat, and we will communicate your questions and inputs. Also, please do not hesitate to put your cameras on so that we can see you on video. And please just feel free to share your inputs and comments. We are looking forward to a very engaging discussion. Kim, over to you.
Okay, greetings from Trinidad and Tobago, everyone. My name is Kimberly Ibrahim, and I'll be your moderator for this session. Well, I'm sure that you would agree with me. The question of time management. Am I still with you, Natasha?
Yes, of course you're with us.
Okay, good. I got a little notice on my screen. My internet was unstable. So I'm sure you would agree with me that time management is a timeless issue in every industry, every segment and sphere of society. And with the pandemic, it has become more apparent that time is a precious commodity, both in the personal space and in your workplace. So to kick off these discussions, I just want to throw out the question to you: are we out of time? There's a survey that we have prepared that I'd like to invite you to participate in and to share your views. So the question is, what is crucial for good time management in meeting moderation? A detailed agenda ahead of the meeting, agreeing with presenters on their speaking time, starting the session on time, intervening when a speaker goes over time. So I'm inviting you all to participate and to share your views. Okay, so in the lead in terms of our responses, we have with 40% a detailed agenda ahead of the meeting. Following that, 27% of you say that intervening when a speaker goes over time. 20% of you say that agreeing with presenters on their speaking time is the most important thing. And 13% of you say that starting the session on time is important. Would anyone like to share an experience with us on issues of time management and timekeeping? For example, those of you who've said that the agenda is essential ahead of the meeting. Why would you insist that this is perhaps the most crucial aspect of time management in an online meeting? Any hands, any takers?
Please feel free to share your comments and inputs. You can also share them in the chat if you do not wish to speak on video. Perhaps we can share some points that we listed that are important for time management, and you can also tie them together with Kim's question.
Or any of the other points if you wish. Starting a session on time, agreeing with presenters on their speaking time, and intervening when someone goes over time. Does anyone have any particular experience or insight in how they would delicately manage a situation where a speaker goes over time and you have to probably rein them in a little bit? How would you strike the balance between being diplomatic and maintaining control of the meeting?
I think I will kind of break the ice. I think something that's very important is the notion of e-politeness that we discuss a lot. It was voted the second. It was the second most voted point, intervening when a speaker goes over time. Most of us feel embarrassed or unpolite, find it impolite to interrupt when someone is speaking online. And this is obviously something that stems from the offline meetings. But in the online world, things are a bit different. And when you see that people do not when people do not respect the other speaker's time, it is very clearly appropriate to interrupt a speaker. There are some points in the chat.
So from Risa, we have not only the agenda, I think participants need to be given some advance points. And that's also a practice. Sometimes concept papers, background papers are circulated in advance of a meeting. So that also saves time because people are aware of the issues that are supposed to be covered within that short period of time. Angeli has added that, yes, an agenda beforehand ensures that everyone involved knows in advance how the program is planned, including time allocation. So it's said that the golden rule of online meetings is starting and finishing on time. Do you agree with this statement? Is that indeed the golden rule? Or do we have some leeway for flexibility and adaptability and improvisation? Any thoughts, any ideas from our colleagues? Vinod, Stacey, Oleksandra, Jennifer, Katya.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, at least for me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes, please.
Okay, yeah, I'm staying now in New York City. I think that it's a multifactorial issue, handling timing during meetings, because first of all, as you said, it's crucial to start meetings on time and have a detailed agenda. But also, I think that you have to let the speakers in advance how much time do they have. And if they don't respect that, I think that at least I had in the past, to stop the speakers for the sake of the others, to have the time to say what they had to say too. Thank you.
Okay. From your perspective, what's the ideal way of intervening to urge a speaker to be more judicious with their timing?
I mean, I don't really understand what's your question.
But what tips do you have for making interventions?
Tips?
Yes.
Oh, well, I mean, I try to be as polite as I can, but I never experienced that I had to stop rudely someone. Thankfully, I never had to do that. But I try to express myself in the best way for the speaker to let them know that they run out of time and they need to stop for the sake of the others.
Okay, excellent. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
So another question, in physical meetings, we sometimes accommodate late arrivals. Do you think that can be accommodated in a virtual environment for an e-conference or an e-meeting? Or do you think we should, again, stick to the time slots and not deviate?
There is actually a very interesting discussion, Kim, going on in the chat, where people are sharing their personal experience as moderators. There was Lee Hibbard who noted that having moderated face-to-face events, keeping time is ever more critical, considering that more and more of us are in constant meetings. And this, I guess, it applies to all of us and our work during COVID-19. There was Oleksandra Boy who noted that it is really important to respect the time allocated for each activity, especially in online meetings. Of course, emergencies happen, but overall schedule should be adhered to. So this is something that having a predefined agenda, this is something that was already pointed out in the survey. There is also a comment from Pilzak who noted that moderator private message the two speakers to inform them of the time is also something that can be used to manage time. Just an overview from the chat. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Thank you, Oleksandra. So another aspect we could possibly look at as well, if you want to take surveys or polls in an online meeting, when is the ideal time to do that and how could that be managed? Again, in keeping with time constraints and the brevity of such meetings, how do you manage that? Anyone, any ideas, surveys, polls, where you need to get feedback, but perhaps it's not as swift or as forthcoming? Okay, I'm seeing a comment from Lee regarding the previous point as well as this one. It boils down to respect for those who have taken the time to participate, and they should best be used at the beginning of sessions. And Risa has also commented on this. In terms of comparing, is time management more difficult in live meetings or in online meetings? What do you think? Anyone? Arthur, Corina, Felicia?
I would like to invite our participants if they to join us on video and to join us in the discussion. I can see that the chat is very active, but perhaps you would also like to share your contributions over audio and video.
So Felicia says that it's difficult to have it online. Helena thinks online, but both could be complex and challenging. Anyone thinks that perhaps physical meetings are easier to manage? No?
Hi, this is Oleksandra from Victim Support Europe. I just wanted to say a few words. So I think it can be easier to manage meetings online, but then at the same time, it can be harder to encourage discussion, kind of, as we can see right now.
As we would see right now, yes,
exactly,
Oleksandra.
exactly. So you can see that people perhaps it's easier to have people follow the rules in an online setting, but then people also are less likely to speak. So you could have better time management at the expense of quality and amount of the discussion.
Okay, thank you very much for that contribution, Oleksandra. And Helena is in agreement. Angeli agrees as well. And Lee has made the point that physical meetings are, in fact, more emotional. Katerina has added that physical meetings are easier and might even be more productive. Well, as we can all see, yes, the flow and the timing of online meetings is not necessarily as simple. Sometimes you need a little more encouragement to get things going and to push the conversation along. Okay. Just in tying up our conversation, because we're approaching the end of our segment, I don't know how you all feel about time management, but again, in light of the pandemic and the heightened use of technology to attend meetings and to do virtual conferencing, you may be feeling that time is dragging, maybe it's compressed, maybe it's accelerated. Whatever your particular views are, though, I think it boils down to the fact that in all our planning, in all our organizational activities, what it comes down to essentially is the fact that the execution of a meeting has to be done within a specific time frame. And that brings us back to the golden rule of everything has to be accomplished between the start and end of the meeting. So I would just urge you in moving on to your own meetings to keep these tips in mind. Natasha and I have prepared a list of some articles for you that you can browse at your leisure to give you some more insight into the whole issue of time management and the various views on it, especially in light of the proliferation and preponderance of online meetings. I urge you all to be safe, and thank you for attending this segment. Thank you, of course, to the Diplo team. Natasha, any thoughts for our attendees?
No, I will be sharing with our participants the list of the articles that you just mentioned, and we are about to start our fourth session of the day. So if you're interested in the next subject, please do stay with us. If not, you can also roam around the other rooms and tracks that are currently in progress. So I will give it a minute or so, and then we can start with our last discussion of the day.
Thanks very much, participants.
So I can see that people are joining us now. We can perhaps start with our session. So the discussion now that we will be having is called Plan B, things that can go wrong and how to react during online meetings. So something that is worth mentioning in online meetings is that even though you can prepare a scenario in advance and plan an agenda for a meeting, have a plan B or a plan C up your sleeve at any time, certain things can always go wrong during an online meeting. Perhaps the most common thing here is that technology can be very unpredictable, and that at times it can surprise us in a very negative way. It can at times derail the meeting and take it into a completely different direction. So before we actually kick off the discussion, I would like to invite you to take part in this poll that we have prepared for you, and it should appear on your screens now. We would like to know what, in your opinion, are the most responsible for meeting failures. I can see so far we have received, everything has, okay, now you have, each option has received an answer. So far, the most popular one is poor moderation with 29%. Failure to prepare an agenda ahead of the meeting as well with 21%. And then there was a bit of indecisiveness between lack of audience engagement, bad technology, and not having a plan B. Before we dive into the discussion, perhaps some food for thought would be the following when it comes to essentials for a successful online meeting. Please, it will appear on your screen now, and please let us know your thoughts. You can comment in the text chat, or you can also use your audio and video to participate in the discussion. So in the checklist, what is essential for a successful online meeting? We have that one should prepare an agenda and the scenario. Scenario would basically mean that you have a time frame of all the activities that you want to conduct during the online meeting. Identifying and engaging relevant speakers is also something that is very important, especially depending obviously on the subject, but this reflects a lot on the engagement of the other participants as well. Getting in touch with speakers ahead of the meeting is something that is very important, so as to know whether what your speakers should be discussing. Making sure that participants know how to access the meeting platform is also something that is very important. Appointing an alternative moderator in case something goes wrong with the moderator is also something that is important. And keeping an eye on the text chat and involving remote participants is something that is also essential for a successful online meeting. Do you have any thoughts on these points? Would you add something? Would you deduct? Please feel free to share this with us. I can see that my colleagues are in the room. Serena is there. Mina, perhaps you would like to say something. Kim, who moderated the previous discussion, is also there. Any points? Any food for thought? Yeah, someone is unmuted. I can see that Helena has her hand up. Yes, Helena.
Yeah, what I was going to say is in regards to also the text chat, having, sorry, I actually completely lost my train of thought as I was like unmuting myself. I was going to make a very good point, I promise.
That's okay, take your time.
It just like went away. Yeah, I'll come back when it reappears. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I can see that in the text chat, people are commenting appropriate breakdowns. That wasn't on the list. That is very correct. There was also Lee Hibbard who noted that all are important. I would also add that ensuring interaction and facilitating exchanges is more interesting. Shorter presentations are better. I think this is something that was also discussed previously. Now I would like, do you have any comments on what was on the inputs made by Richard and Lee Hibbard on this, perhaps? We have 35 participants in the room. Is there anyone who would like to take the floor? Oh, there is another point, having mics muted when not speaking. Yes, this is something that's very important, especially in online meetings when there is a crackling sound. This can easily, it can be very annoying, but it can also easily discourage other participants. There was another comment. Do you suggest having someone else checking the chat instead of the moderator? Actually, yes, this is something that is usually advised, to have a moderator and then a text chat moderator, a moderator who will moderate the discussion with the panelists, and then someone else who will moderate the discussion with the participants in the attending the event. This is very important. Something that is worth mentioning, though, is that the moderator should always keep an eye on the chat so as to know what is being discussed by the other participants, and to possibly bring in these reflections. I can see that other comments are being made. It is tricky to integrate and ensure fair engagement of participants when the event is hosted both online and on-site. Yes, this is something that has been, inclusivity is something that has been brought up very frequently, especially of participants who are joining from afar. This through remote participation to an extent has been addressed, but obviously there is a lot of room for improvement for this, and not in certain cases remote participation is not available. Yes, I can see that Helen has her hand up. So Helen, you have the floor.
Yes, I remembered what I was going to say. Thank you. So I think, or what I've found, or what we've found, because we've done a lot of these online meetings also the past few months, is that even as people get more accustomed to having meetings online, it's important to, before, or in the beginning of every meeting, go through sort of a checklist of guidelines and house rules, so to speak, including how to use the raise your hand function, the chat box, all of these details that also then promote an inclusive meeting. And just in terms of what someone just mentioned, in terms of inclusion and the fact that not all places, there are a lot of, or at least some places around the world where Zoom, for instance, is not available. It's because of sanctions, you can't join. And so to think about alternative ways to include people, and one of the things that we've done is had people from Sudan, for instance, where Zoom is not available, join by WhatsApp. And that's very simple. Like one of us who's on Zoom connects the person through WhatsApp, and they basically speak through your microphone. So being aware of these difficulties and ensuring that you have innovative processes to include those people who might not be able to connect otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. This was a very an excellent point, and thank you for bringing up the fact that not all people have access to Zoom. Obviously, there are many alternatives. There are many open source platforms, but your point on joining from WhatsApp is very, very relevant, and it is, I guess, it is one of the most widespread social media platforms that is being that has been used in terms of communication. I can see that my colleague Andre joined us, so perhaps he would like to add a couple of points more on with regards to our subject today.
Hello, everybody. I apologize for not being able to join you sooner. I've been experiencing some technical problems, which falls nicely under the topic of this session: what to do when things go wrong. I don't know what exactly was covered so far, but I would just like to share my 2 cents on this issue. And this is, unless you are master of improvisation, please don't try to improvise things in a sense that you present to participants that this is how you actually plan for things to work. If you have a problem, in my opinion, honesty is the best policy. You have to be clear about that, and you have to have something else to offer, some other topic to offer instead. I know that this may sound counterintuitive because sometimes people attend a meeting because they want to hear particular person speaking, or they want to address particular issue or topic. But if you come honestly, and if you tell them that for speaker is not available or the presentation is not working, then instead you can, and instead if you offer them some other topic that is one way or another relevant, generally relevant to the overall topic of the meeting, I think that in most cases it works. Running online courses for DiploFoundation, I've experienced a couple of these situations before. For example, we have a course in which the lecturer has to come at a certain point and deliver a summary of the weekly topic, and the internet breaks, or there is a electricity breakout, and the lecturer cannot come and do what he had promised to do. It is us as course coordinators in the course, we step in and we engage with students in discussing other things that are not relevant to the topic that was supposed to be discussed today, but for the other aspects of the course. And these things are in one way or another relevant for them, so they will pick up and they will actually in the end appreciate your input, and they will appreciate your guidance. So I don't know if I said anything anything new, but these are just my 2 cents on the subject. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre, for your points, and especially for bringing in your experience from online courses. I think this is very important, and it, even though it is in a way different from virtual conferences, it is closely related given that these courses are given online. We have arrived to the end of our discussions on moderation today. I would like to invite you to either visit our virtual art exhibition or to go for a coffee break and mingle with our other guests. Please join us again for the wrap up of today's discussion at 3 o'clock UTC. Looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you for joining us.